Hi, I'm Martin Webster. I'm a master trainer of NLP, hypnotherapy and the creator of HMS therapy. Welcome to the New Leaf program. We're now going to be talking about meta models, right? Meta model language. Okay, stemming from the work of Fritz Perls and Virginia Satir, meta model language is designed to chunk down to a root cause emotion, right? So for instance, if I was working, say for instance my car had broken down. This is a simple way of explaining the meta model. My car's broken down. Okay, so I'm ringing at the garage and the garage say, what's the problem? The car's broken down. Okay, let's say what specifically is the problem. And the key word to remember is what specifically. So he's asked me a question, what specifically? He's chunked me down, so I'm thinking, oh, it's the engine. And then he says, what specifically in the engine? So again he says, what specifically? Chunked down again. Oh, it's the carburetor. And then he says again, what specifically in the carburetor? And I say, oh, it's the right hand foo-foo valve, which is, I just made that up, right? The right hand foo-foo valve. Okay, so now this engineer knows exactly what the problem is on my car. The right hand foo-foo valve, right? You look it up. I don't know what the foo-foo valve is. I just made it up. But he's found the foo-foo valve, so he knows, the engineer knows exactly what the problem is, using it. What specifically we call it chunking down. So the way the meta model works is a way of chunking language down to get our clients into the root cause problem. All right, and we use it within HMS therapy, and we use it a lot with when we're working with a client. Warning, you do not use this, you do not use meta model language unless you have time with a client. If you chunk somebody down to a root cause, right, and they're in a negative emotion, right, especially if they're suicidal or something like that, this can be very, very dangerous, right, because that person could be volatile. You should never ever chunk anyone down using that type of language unless you know what you're doing. When we go to master practitioner with teachers in more in depth. So the great thing about learning NLP is we can chunk people down, but we can also chunk them back up. So you need to remember how to chunk up after you chunk them down, if you have chunked them down. Alright, and as we go on to more videos, I'm going to do more about Milton and meta model techniques, how to chunk down and chunk back up really quickly. So we use words such as what specifically, where specifically, and who specifically. Let's go there again. What specifically, where specifically, who specifically. And then the final one is, how did that make you feel? And that is the sort of sledgehammer one, because if they say sad or really angry, you're going to be putting them into an emotion, right? And this is something that counsellors do. They're unaware of it. And I've had counselling myself years ago when I came back from the army, and I found I was chunked down, but nobody chunked me back up. So I was sort of left in that emotion. That's not the counselling world's fault, but the counselling world could really benefit through learning meta model language, because what they do is they chunk people down, but then they don't chunk them back up. We use Milton model to go back up and meta model to go down. Milton model to go up, meta model to come back down. All right, and that's how we use really simple techniques. Okay. You can use softening frames such as I'm wondering, I'm really curious, and that's interesting. So you know your car's broken down. Oh, I'm wondering, what car is it? It's a Ford. What specifically is wrong with it? The engine. What specifically? The carburetor. What specifically? The foo-foo valve. And how does that make you feel when your car broke down? Well, I was really not happy about it. I'm angry about it. I want to get it fixed. I'm frustrated. So straight away we chunked them down to a root cause. Notice I'm using the car model as if you're working with a client and they're saying they've got, you know, they're feeling, you ring them up and they're saying they're feeling depressed. What are you specifically depressed about? My wife's just left me. What specifically has happened? She left me last night. Okay, how does that make you feel? Well, really sad. Okay, is it okay to help you now over the phone so you feel better about that? Yeah, so what would I do now? I go in with the Milton model and I chunk them back up. Alright, and the Milton model is basically, okay, for what purpose for you? For what purpose for you? And what does that do for you? And what I'm doing now is I'm bringing them back up. So we'll look at that technique more in depth on the next lesson, when we go to Master Prac, how to use that tech, how to use the what specifically, and then the for what purpose for you, and what does that do for you. So chunking down, chunking up. Meta model to chunk down, Milton model to chunk back up. Alright, there will be tests on this, because this language you've got to get a grip of. This is the nuts and bolts of NLP. Chunking them down, chunking them back up. And what you'll find by doing that is you're chunking them up to what we call the highest intent, which is love, the source energy, their connection with their divine purpose. Right, chunking them down to root cause, negative emotions, using the meta model, chunking them back up to reach their higher purpose and why they're here as a human being on this planet. Okay, and that's what NLP really is about. Really, is getting people to connect with their inner being, who they really are, and not what they perceive that they are. So meta model language is to chunk down, middle models to chunk back up, and when we go on to master prac, we'll go more into depth on this. So any questions, you'll do your test on this. This is New Leaf Program, and keep watching, keep learning, and good luck and God bless.